The year is 2025. The UK has injected nearly £1 trillion into its economy through quantitative easing since 2009. This unprecedented intervention was meant to avert financial disaster. But who really benefited? Did the money trickle down to ordinary people, or did it exacerbate existing inequalities? This is the trillion-pound question we must confront. The Bank of England, our nation's central bank, argues that QE was necessary. They claim it prevented a deeper recession and mass unemployment. However, the impact on wealth distribution is undeniable. Asset prices, like houses and stocks, soared. Those who already owned these assets saw their wealth multiply. Meanwhile, wages stagnated for many, and the cost of living continued to rise. This essay will delve into the complexities of QE, exploring its intended goals and actual consequences. We will examine where the money went, how it affected different segments of society, and the role of government policies in shaping wealth distribution. Finally, we will consider potential solutions to address the economic imbalances amplified by QE. Quantitative easing, often shortened to QE, has become a familiar term in our economic lexicon. But what exactly is it? In essence, it is a monetary policy tool used by central banks to stimulate economic activity. When traditional methods, such as lowering interest rates, prove insufficient, central banks turn to QE. Here's how it works. The central bank creates new electronic money. They use this money to purchase assets, primarily government bonds, from commercial banks and other financial institutions. This injection of new money into the financial system is intended to lower long-term interest rates, encourage lending, and boost investment. The ultimate goal is to increase spending, stimulate demand, and foster economic growth. However, QE is not without its critics. Some argue that it primarily benefits the wealthy by inflating asset prices. Others contend that it creates market distortions and risks future inflation. The debate over QE's effectiveness and its long-term consequences continues to rage on. The UK's QE journey began in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. Faced with a collapsing financial system and a looming recession, the Bank of England embarked on its first round of QE in 2009. By 2016, they had injected £445 billion into the economy. This initial wave of QE helped stabilise the financial system and prevent a complete economic meltdown. Fast forward to 2020, and the COVID-19 pandemic triggered an unprecedented economic shock. Lockdowns and restrictions brought businesses to a standstill, forcing governments to implement massive support programs. To finance these measures and cushion the economic blow, the Bank of England launched another round of QE, injecting an additional £450 billion. By the end of 2021, the total amount of QE implemented in the UK reached a staggering £895 billion, nearly £1 trillion. This equates to roughly £20,000 for every adult in the country. While the Bank of England argues that QE was essential to prevent a deeper recession, questions linger about its long-term consequences and whether its benefits were evenly distributed. Section 4. The flow of funds. Where did the money go? The Bank of England's QE programme involved purchasing assets, primarily government bonds, from commercial banks and other financial institutions. This increased the reserves held by these institutions, providing them with more liquidity. The intention was to encourage lending to businesses and individuals, thereby stimulating economic activity. However, much of the QE money did not flow directly into the real economy. Instead, it remained within the financial system. Commercial banks used some of the additional liquidity to strengthen their balance sheets, which had been weakened during the financial crisis. They also invested in assets like government bonds, corporate bonds, and equities, further inflating asset prices. While this increase in asset prices benefited those who already owned these assets, it did little to improve the financial situation of ordinary citizens. Many people saw their wages stagnate or decline during this period, while the cost of living continued to rise. This disparity in outcomes fueled growing concerns about wealth inequality and the distributional effects of QE. Section 5. A widening gap. QE's impact on wealth and inequality. One of the most significant consequences of QE has been its impact on wealth distribution. By injecting trillions into the financial system, QE fueled a surge in asset prices. Property prices, in particular, soared to record highs, making it increasingly difficult for first-time buyers to enter the market. This surge in asset prices disproportionately benefited those who already owned assets, exacerbating wealth inequality. Those who owned property or had significant savings saw their wealth multiply. Meanwhile, those without assets, particularly younger generations, faced increasing difficulties getting on the property ladder or accumulating wealth. The Bank of England maintains that QE was necessary to prevent a deeper recession. However, it's undeniable that the policy has widened the gap between the haves and have-nots. Addressing this growing inequality is crucial to ensuring a fair and equitable society.